it sucks, eh? This is really sucky. And I mean, I grew up religiously, right? And I've done a lot of things in the
Same.
religious church. And I want to say something to you. You said a really, we'll talk about this in a minute, but you said a really good example of how to interact with assholes when you went on Sean Plunkett's show. And he was yelling at you and you showed empathy to him and his attitude went whoosh. And we played it here and talked it through, and people in the chat were like, holy crap, he just changed completely. I wanted to say to you, and this isn't a set up plan, I just thought of it now, that sort of on behalf of those people who have been religious or who are religious, who aren't complete cockwombles, this dude is not representing the teachings of that dude who was around 2,000 years ago, which were love the guy upstairs and love your neighbor as yourself. That's it. So this cockwomble has got no, I mean, it's a, people have been saying cult. It is a cult. It's nothing to do with that religion that has huge amounts of issues with it, but at its absolute core is about loving people more often than not who are more vulnerable than you. So I want to say to you that I'm so sorry that you've had to go through this with him. If for nothing else, if he's a poor representation of what this thing is supposed to be, and he's got nothing to do with the good parts or the good elements of the thing of looking after vulnerable people and the widows and orphans and hanging out with the prostitutes and tax collectors and going on a camping trip with your 12 best mates. He's so far from all of that stuff. And so I mean, I don't know if it makes any sense, but kind of on behalf of those who have been in that world, I'm really sorry. It sucks.
No, and you know what? He's not what Christianity is. This is the church of Brian Tamaki. It's not a Christian church. I was brought up in the Baptist church, and that's when we moved to Destiny Church, which he denies I ever could have done, apparently.
Oh,
but,
I didn't know that. So you were a part of it.
And so I used to go irregularly. We used to go to my mother and I went to Hillsong over in Sydney. We moved to Sydney, went over to Hillsong, and every time we'd come back, we'd go to Destiny. And this is before he got the TV shows and all that sort of stuff. And then, when we went back to Sydney, that's when things started to pick up a bit more with him. We were like, not really into what he's doing now. But we were completely enthralled by him at the start, look at this young brown fellow who says shit in his sermons, like that's like so cool. And that's what drew us in. And I had dealings with that and was invited to go to their youth programs and all that. This is when I was 20. Go to the youth programs and and then later on the women's programs and legacy and stuff like that too. It's not the Christian way. And I've had so many churches and pastors and all sorts of beautiful people private messaging saying, we just want to let you know that we strongly support you and what you're doing. We know what you're doing isn't wrong, and we love what you do. And we're just really sorry that this person is speaking on behalf of Christianity because it's not the way. And I'm like, I totally know. And I'm actually going to be a guest speaker at the Decult conference in Christchurch in October.
Okay.
And talking, so Peter Lynham will be there. He wrote the book.
Peter.
Yeah, so he'll be there talking a lot about it. And then I'll be on the panel in regards to disinformation and what's been going on with Destiny Church and us, sort of as a follow-up for that as well. And also possibly on the Rainbow LGBT panel as well. So it sucks that people think that that's what Christianity is, because it's not. It absolutely is not. It's cult-like behavior in that he gets vulnerable people, draws them in, bleeds them dry, and they just believe. I've got a best friend from primary and high school who got completely involved with Man Up after he had drug problems and things like that. They ended up absolutely screwing him over and kicking him out and all this sort of stuff, and he spiraled. And we haven't heard from him since.
Wow.
Like 6 years, no one's heard from him.
Yeah.
And it's sad. We don't know what's become of him and what he's doing and what happened after Man Up did that to him.
It's fascinating. I had no idea that you were going to just share all this. Have you shared this with anyone in the media that you remember of?
Not necessarily. I did
Okay.
share that I had attended Destiny Church, and of course, Hannah and Brian completely said no, she never did. I'm like, yeah, you don't need to sign up to anything, and you should go to churches to go to churches.
Because what I was going to say is it's fascinating how, and there's an alleged situation in the press today about an alleged person who's committed, I guess, sexual acts, who allegedly was a part of the Destiny Church, and he's like, no, never a part of it. And then all these photos are popping up all of the with arm around him, next to him, sort of thing. So it's interesting how he always seems to run away from people affiliated or who have been affiliated with his church, who now no longer suit his narrative.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really quite sad, because there was also a lady who defrauded and stole money from somewhere, and she and it was put that she was a member of Destiny Church, and they pushed that away as well. So it's a history of it, definitely, of them. Once they love the controversy, but once it's actually there, they're like, no.